Well, hello there. My name is Ron, and I am your teacher for Comm 317 this semester. And while this may not be a picture of me, it kind of got your hopes up for a minute there, didn't it?
Yeah.
But you'll see next week that I really am almost this good looking, and my voice will be just as beautiful as it is here in person. So I'm doing this video because it is rather odd that we don't have a class on the first day of the semester. This is unique in my experience, and I've been doing this a while. So anyway, I just thought you hearing my voice and me walking through the syllabus so that we could get into week 2 and actually start doing things might be very beneficial. So this video is going to be broken up into about 3 sections. The first one, I'll talk about titanium and how that is very integral to our class. I will then go ahead and review the syllabus, talk through, the structure of the class, what we're going to do for each of the projects, and then finally I'll talk just a little bit about what is going to be due in next week's class. So anyway, let's get started. So here we are in titanium, and since this is primarily an online course, it is considered a hybrid because we have that 1 hour of in-class time per week. But basically, this is an online course, which means you need to be very proactive in making sure you keep up with what's going on in the class. So titanium here is the center of our universe for Comm 317, and you need to show up here several times a week to access handouts, to watch videos that I've assigned, to get readings and so forth, and of course project information. So I just wanted to show you this real quickly. I don't need to show you how to use titanium, but I do need to show you maybe how I use titanium. So each class we are going to have a week defined just as this first week is defined here. Now obviously we aren't meeting in class this week, but you still are responsible for all of this stuff.
Oh, man.
And so you've probably already read this handout. You are right now watching this video, so I don't know how that really works. It's odd, but it's exciting at the same time. This is the video you're going to watch next, and if I click on this, here is that video. You can play it right here within Titanium. When you're done, you just click of a button and you can go right back to the class website. Then here is the syllabus and the readings, and then this is a link to the class YouTube channel. So you might want to subscribe to that. You don't have to, it is optional, but all of the videos that you're going to use throughout this whole class are also available on the class YouTube channel, and what that means is that you get access to those videos even after you finish this class, which you may find helpful. And so anyway, titanium, come here often, and if there's anything to do with the class that you need to get to, it will be here on titanium. So next up, let's look at the syllabus. So I have downloaded the syllabus from this link right here. It is now open on my desktop, and I do recommend that with PDFs you don't have them open in your browser, that you go into your preferences for your browser and change it so that PDFs will open either with Preview or with Acrobat Reader, and that means they will take them out of the browser and open them up as a floating file. So here's the syllabus. It's about 8 pages long, so I don't think it makes sense for me to go through this line by line, but what I would like to do is touch on the high points, the stuff that I think is the most important, and then you need to go through and read every word of this so that you're clear on what my expectations are of you in the class, and you're also clear on what you can expect from me in the class.
I don't want to know.
Okay, so communication is a big deal for me. That's why it's at the very top of the syllabus here. So I'm not looking for a whole bunch of pen pals, but I do want you to kind of treat this class as if it were a work experience. So if you were going to be late to a meeting or you were going to be absent from work that day, you would certainly let them know. So a quick couple of lines in an email saying, Ron, I'm not going to make it today. Then that gives me the chance to say, okay, don't forget to check titanium, or don't forget that this is due. You better get that turned in, stuff like that. It also shows me that you care enough to keep in touch and have good communication around the class. This is something that's expected of you in the real world, and so being from the real world myself, I like to encourage that in class as well. So that said, here's my contact information. So my office hours, my office. I really encourage you to come to office hours whenever you need extra help. The thing about an online class is you can feel kind of left alone. But if you're really struggling and the videos aren't helping you, then please come by and see me or get in touch, and we'll figure out the best way to help you. So there's my office and my phone number. I've also given you my cell number, which is actually what I'd prefer you use. So yes, you can send me text, but remember, I'm old, so I text using one finger only. So anything that requires more than a yes or a no or an emoji, then you might want to send me an email instead. I tend to be very responsive. Most students are surprised at how quickly I will get back to them. So I can't promise an instant reply every time, but I will do my very best to get back to you as soon as I can. Okay, so you do need to check your campus email address because I will communicate in that way regularly. Here is the course catalog description and objectives. I will leave that for you to read yourself. But let me just give this bit of overview. Digital Foundations. So that gives you a very clear idea of what this class is all about. Digital media runs the world now. Even stuff that is printed is in digital form until it is printed. So if you don't have a real handle on what digital media is, the different applications that are used to create it, the language of it, and then how to use these things as real tools to help you solve communication problems. So the point of this class is to teach you all about what digital media is, the terminology, the concepts, and then to teach you some core applications that will allow you to create digital media materials. So specifically, we're going to be using Adobe Illustrator, Adobe Photoshop, Adobe InDesign, Adobe Premiere Pro, and those four programs are all industry standard within visual communication. And that's really what I consider this class to be, is a visual communication class. So I care very much about you learning these programs and concepts and terminology, but I care equally as much as how well you solve visual communication problems. People don't read anymore. So if you don't have the ability to stop them and get them to read a message by how you visually present the material, you're going to have a hard time making your point and being successful. So I'll talk about all this a lot more in class, but I do approach this as almost a design class in that I expect you to solve visual communication problems as well as you can. Finally, you're going to see students around you who maybe know how to use these programs really well already, and that may scare you. This class does not expect you to have any knowledge of these programs. We will treat you as complete beginner. If you do happen to have some skills already, great, then certain parts of the class may get a little easier for you. But those of you who don't have any of these skills at all yet, don't think that just because somebody knows how to use Photoshop really well, that they're going to get a better grade than you are. All of these programs are just tools. What I care most about is how well you think and solve these problems. And so if you have good, creative, unique solutions to problems, but maybe struggle with the applications a bit, you're going to get a better grade than somebody who really knows the applications well, but just got kind of lazy in terms of their idea. And so this class is all about good ideas first and foremost. All the other stuff, important, but it's all about executing that good idea. So let's move along here. Course description and objectives. So that's kind of included in that big long soapbox I just did. Now this is the stuff you're probably most interested in. What do you have to get or do or what? Well, you have to start with having access to a computer with internet connectivity. If you don't, then you can't do this class. It's as simple as being able to access titanium and so forth. If you don't happen to have a computer at home or a laptop, then you can still certainly do fine in this class. You're just going to have to use the computers on campus, either in the basement labs at College Park or the library or wherever you can find. So that's definitely something you need. You need to be able to back up your work multiple times. And so that means you need to have, a thumb drive, an external hard drive, and you need to have access to your Dropbox. Now, you don't need all of those, but you need at least 2 of those, and you need to understand that if you don't back up your work, you're setting yourself up for disaster. Every semester, I have a handful of students lose work, and it's very hard because there's nothing I can do to get it back for them. It's just gone, which means they have to redo it, and there's usually a lot of stress involved. So just remember, the most important asset you have is your time. So spend a little extra time to back up your work, and that way if you lose a thumb drive or if for some reason you can't access your Dropbox, then you can get the file another way. Okay, technical requirements. Adobe Creative Cloud. Now this is a biggie. This is free to you, but you have access to the entire Creative Cloud library. And so this link right here will take you to a website where you will see, oh, I can get the Adobe software. Click on it and you can start the process. It's really quite simple. In fact, it's much simpler than it used to be. There's all types of documentation on the website. Click on this link and go get it right away. One caveat is if you are using an older laptop, meaning 5 years or older maybe, you may not be able to run the software. This stuff requires lots of processing power and lots of RAM. So there is a chance if you have an old computer, you aren't going to be able to get it on your own. But most of you will be able to, and you really need to, because otherwise you're going to have to come to the lab every time you want to work on this stuff. You're going to need access to a still and video camera. That sounds onerous, but it is not, because you are also free to just use your phone or your tablet. So if you have access to a camera, like a digital SLR style camera, that's going to be the best, because you can shoot good quality stills, shoot video, and it's basically dedicated to that task of capturing images, so it's very good at it. But if you don't have access to that, then you are welcome to use your phone or your tablet with a built-in camera. But use the very best, most recent phone or tablet as you can, and also spend the time to learn how to use it well, how to make sure things are in focus, and also know how to change the settings on it so you're capturing as much resolution as you possibly can. Another option you have is to check out equipment from the Comm equipment stockroom, which is down at the library. This is a link that will take you to the site that explains how it works, but Comm 317 has been registered as a class that allows you to check equipment out, but you've got to plan ahead on that stuff. Portfolium Eportfolio, I don't want to dwell on that too much. We'll talk about this in class, but suffice it to say that one of our tasks in 317 is to teach you how to upload projects to Portfolium. So you can easily get a free account and easily upload your work to it. It is something for you to use as kind of an online portfolio. It's also something the Comm department uses to help evaluate whether they are teaching you all that you should be taught. Okay, so basic computer competency, I'm not going to walk through this. It's all pretty basic stuff, and I'm sure you have these skills already. But make sure, and if you're rusty or unclear on anything, then you might want to brush up on that before we get too far into class. So before I get to the projects, let me just talk about how the grading is done. I don't give plus or minus grades. Everything is going to be based on just your regular old typical percentage, so no surprises there. The class is going to be worth approximately 280 points. That will make more sense when we get into talking about the points, but that is what these percentages will be based on. How many points out of that total did you get, and that will determine your grade. I do accept late work in this class. That's covered right here, but there is a penalty for that. If you are really struggling with a project, this is where that communication comes back into play. You really need to let me know ahead of time before the project is due, because then I can help you figure it out. If there's really a difficult problem, I can even give you an extension. But if you don't tell me, or it just doesn't show up when it's due, then I have no option to help you make it better. So communicate well. You really do want to meet the deadlines, because the consequences are pretty big. Basically, 10% of the point total for that project is going to go away each day that it's late. So definitely, if you're struggling, let me know. Okay, titanium. Yep, basically everything's there. What to expect. This is an online class, so the expectation is that your hand is not going to be held. It doesn't mean that you don't get support when you need it. I am here if you get stuck or have problems you can't figure out, but you need to try to figure it out yourself first. One thing I've spent a lot of energy on, as well as the other instructors of this class, is to create videos. It contains the video lectures each week, and then also shows you how to use the applications. There are a lot of them, but that's because there's a lot to these programs. You must watch these videos. I don't have a lot of patience for students who come and ask questions and are confused and don't know what to do, and then I discover they haven't watched the videos. Well, that isn't fair to me. You need to take the lead, get all the information you can. If it's still not clear, or you're still having trouble, then come see me. I'm always happy to help, but you've got to do your part first, and that means watch all of the videos before you need to use them in class. There is a really nice additional resource called lynda.com, which you can get for free through your portal. So I will leave you to explore that. But if for some reason you want more information on anything that you're not getting from the class, then lynda.com is a great resource, and I use it quite constantly. So here are the projects, and I've been teaching this class since they first started offering it, I don't know, 10, 12 years ago now. And I love teaching this class because this class gives you skills that will absolutely benefit you, not only in your future classes here at Fullerton Comm, but also when you get out into the workplace. I never get tired of students saying, "Oh my God, Ron, I'm so glad I took your class because my boss asked me to do this and I was able to do it. And so now I'm a hero." And so I really believe in all the stuff I teach. I don't teach anything that I don't believe will serve you well as you move forward in communication. And so that said, let me just kind of briefly cover each of the major projects we're going to be doing. And so project 1 is a very simple project, at least it seems simple, but you are going to be doing a small poster using nothing but type and one color of ink, black. So you can have black and white, and you can have grays. And you can use type. No shapes, no lines, no illustrations, no photographs, nothing else, just type. What? So it's very simple in that you don't have a lot of options of elements you can use, but it's very challenging in that you don't have a lot of elements you can use. And I think you'll be surprised. I'll show you examples starting next week of what you can do only with type. Type is the basis of visual communication. It's an incredibly important component of what we're going to do in this class, and it will be basically focused on throughout the semester. In this project, we're going to use Adobe Illustrator. Second project is a really fun one, a B-movie poster. You're going to come up with an idea for a B-movie, and then you are going to create a poster to promote that movie that you've come up with. You're going to use Adobe Photoshop. You're going to shoot your own pictures. The third project, multi-page layout, where you're going to design a 3-page magazine article, and we will supply you the text for that. You don't have to write it, but you will be taking your own pictures for this. You'll be doing your own layout, and you'll be using Adobe InDesign. Project 4. tell or sell video. So this was hands down the favorite project of last semester's classes. You get to create your own video from the beginning. You're going to shoot all your own material. You're going to find or create your own audio. You are going to put this all together in Adobe Premiere Pro, which is one of the industry standards for video editing, and you will have a great time. It's probably the most challenging project because there's the most to it, the most information and steps and stuff you have to deal with, but your end result will give you a lot of joy. And then finally, the end of the semester, Project 5, you're going to create a PDF. And again, you're going to use Adobe InDesign for this to create the layout. But then you're going to export that as an interactive PDF, meaning it has actual links in it that will link to other pages, to websites. You can even embed a video. So we'll cover all of that at the end of the semester. Okay, so each one of these you'll notice has different point values. So I start off small and then it builds. So first project is worth 20 points, the second 30, the third 40, and the fourth and fifth projects are each worth 50 points. So remember the point total for the whole semester is 280, so you can see that's a pretty good chunk of that 280 points. You're also going to have a couple of exams, one for the midterm and one for the final. Each one of those is worth 25 points. You are going to have a few in-class assignments throughout the semester, so sometimes we'll use the lab for you to work on things that I show you in the programs in class so you can get help if you need it. So that's worth 15 points. And then finally, the lab is not optional. So that once a week lab time is required. So I pass around a sign-in sheet every week, and you need to make sure you get your name on it, at least until you're sure that I know your name. So better not to take a chance on that. I've got a memory of a very small mammal. So lab attendance required, and that is worth 25 points for the semester. So almost 10% of the total points possible. Here are some additional links that you get from all of your syllabuses, or syllabi rather, from all of your classes. So you should check that out. It pertains to things like special needs, academic dishonesty, emergency preparedness, all that stuff. The good news is that one thing I need to share with you is how to get out of the building. Well, because we're in room 23 in the basement, all you have to do is go out the door and then just a little to the right and you're up to the stairway and you can get to the outside at the top of the stairway. So the good news is we have easy ability to escape our room if we need to quickly. Okay, so that's pretty much it. This is the schedule, and I'm going to leave you to kind of read this yourself. But this kind of covers week by week exactly what we're going to do. This is going to match up very closely with what's on titanium. Obviously things can change as we go through the semester, but this will give you a real good idea, just give you the overview of what's happening and when it's happening. Also, if you know you're going to miss class, check titanium, so that you know what was expected of you for that particular week. So that's it. One last little thing to talk to you about, and that is what's due next week. Last and most quickly, I would like to just show you the bottom of this handout, which should have been the first thing you looked at. So you've already gone through the panic and calmed down and understand clearly what you should be doing. But at the very bottom of this handout is a brief couple of notes of what you need to do for next week. So very simple. Next week, you need to have with you when you come into class 2 digital pictures of yourself. So this means something that came off of your phone or your camera, or if it was from a print that you've scanned it, but it is pixels and it is ready to be put into Illustrator, which is the program we're going to use next week. So 2 of those, 2 different pictures of yourself. And at least one of those, I should be able to recognize you as you are today, because I will also use this as something to help me remember your name. Right. Secondly, you need to bring something to back up on. So that means a thumb drive, an external hard drive, or access to your Dropbox. Any of those will work fine. You are also able to save it on the computer you're working on in class, but you don't want to count on that as your sole form of backup. So 2 pictures of yourself, something to back up your work onto, and that's pretty much it. Just bring your smiling self, and I will see you next week. Enjoy your holiday.